Good evening and welcome to the Carnegie Town Hall. This meeting of the Sioux Falls City Council will begin in a few moments. The City Council meets on the first, second, and third Tuesday of each month at 7 o'clock p.m. and serves as the city's policy-making and legislative body. Each meeting is governed by Robert's Rules of Order unless those guidelines conflict with city ordinance or charter. City Council meetings offer an opportunity for citizens to speak directly to their elected representatives. Those in attendance are invited to address the Council during the public input segment at the beginning of the agenda. At that time, any issue that is not subject to formal action later in the agenda can be addressed. Testimony that concerns a resolution or an ordinance's second reading is only allowed when those specific agenda items are being addressed by the Council. When addressing the Council, citizens should speak directly into the microphones at the podium and state their names for the record after being recognized by the Chair. To accommodate and respect all viewpoints, citizen comments are limited by ordinance to no more than 5 minutes each. Comments should be respectful and focused on providing new information that will benefit the Council's deliberative process. The Chair reserves the right to limit the number of speakers. City Council meetings are broadcast live on CityLink and online at www.siouxfalls.org. Information regarding the City Council, its committees, meetings, briefings, and members is available by visiting www.siouxfalls.org/council or by calling the Council office at 605-367-8085. Thank you for your interest in Sioux Falls City government.
Oh, no, they haven't. No.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's City Council meeting. It is Tuesday, June 17th. We'll start our meeting with a roll call of your City Council.
Council members Jamison.
Here.
Karski. Kiley.
Here.
Rolfing. Staggers.
Present.
Anderson.
Here.
Erickson. Here. Erpenbach.
Very good. We start our meetings in Sioux Falls with an invocation. We're very, very pleased to have pastoral intern David Lusk of Abiding Savior Free Lutheran Church here in Sioux Falls. Pastor, welcome. Thanks for being here. What we'll do is we'd ask you to stand. The pastor will give the invocation, and then if you'd remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance, we'd appreciate it. Pastor?
Thank you. The blessing of the Lord comes from Psalm 119, verse 33. And he says, "Teach me, O Lord, the way of your statutes, and I will keep it to the end. Give me an understanding that I may keep your law and observe it with my whole heart. Lead me in the path of your commandments, for I delight in it." Heavenly Father, these are the desires of our heart to follow your will. Lord, we ask now that as called servants, not only of the church, but also of the residents of Sioux Falls, that your will be done, Lord. We ask you to guide and direct our steps, Lord. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. We do have one proclamation, and I'd love to have you all stand with me if you wouldn't mind. Would you mind introducing the folks here tonight?
Yes. You want me to call their names? We have Silke. And I think I'm going to pass the mic around.
Okay, I'm Silke Hansen from Germany.
My name is Cohen. I'm from Thailand. My name is Rosie. I'm from Thailand.
My name is Vina. I'm from Thailand.
Hi, my name is Ruma. I'm from Nepal.
Hello, my name is Kamala. I'm from Nepal.
And you've got to introduce yourself, please.
I'm Clara Hart. I work as a school home liaison with immigrant families in the Sioux Falls School District. These are my students. They represent Roosevelt, Lincoln, and Washington high schools. Thank you, Mayor, for having us here tonight.
Thank you. The proclamation reads, whereas every year on June 20th, the world honors the courage, resilience, and strength of refugees. This day is designated as World Refugee Day. Thousands of organizations in hundreds of countries will come together to focus global attention not only on the plight of refugees and the causes of their exile, but also on their determination and will to survive, and on the contributions they make to their host communities. Whereas refugees flee their country not for economic gain, but to escape persecution, the threat of imprisonment, and even threats to their lives. They need a safe haven where they can recover from the mental and physical trauma and rebuild their hopes for a better future. Whereas a safe haven also means that refugees receive food, shelter, and medical care, that their rights are respected, including rights to education and freedom of movement. Whereas World Refugee Day recognizes the contributions of refugees in their communities. Organizations such as Amnesty International and the International Rescue Committee often get involved in various activities for the day. Some communities dedicate an entire week that includes World Refugee Day to encourage people to think about their lives of refugees and the human right to a secure place that one can see as home. Whereas for World Refugee Day 2014, we will continue our global One campaign, keeping the theme, One Family Torn Apart by War is Too Many. Now, therefore, I, Mike Huther, Mayor of the City of Sioux Falls, do hereby proclaim Friday, June 20th, 2014 as World Refugee Day in Sioux Falls, and let us recognize them for the richness and diversity that they bring to our community. Clara, all of you, welcome. It's great to have you here in the States, and it's even better to have you here in Sioux Falls. Can we give them a round of applause? Thank you. Council will now move to the consent agenda. Any motions, changes at all?
Move to approve.
Second. Councilor Jameson's made a motion to approve our consent agenda, seconded by Councilor Erickson. Any discussion? Councilor Staggers?
Yes, I just have, I have two items to pull. The first one is Parks and Recreation for some consulting services, $210,000. This is for the indoor pool. And the second one is Parks and Rec, and this is for aquatics facilities development agreement for legal services. Once again, the indoor pool, $30,000.
Very good. Councilor Staggers would like to discuss two items, both involving the aquatic facility development agreement, and we'll certainly do that. Council, any other motions?
Mayor.
Councilor.
Motion to amend the consent agenda by removing change order 23025, Sioux River South Interceptor Improvement, contract change order to close out quantities, water reclamation, Mingler Construction, $337,215 from agenda item number 2.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to adjourn the consent agenda. It was seconded by Councilor Kiley. Any discussion?
Mayor.
Councilor.
Motion to amend the consent agenda by removing the retail malt beverage license renewal for Stanton Inc., business name TBD, 1213 North Cliff Avenue, on Exhibit D from agenda item number 7.
Councilor Anderson Jr., would you mind, before we go to the second motion, or your second amendment, can we vote on that first one first?
Sure.
Okay.
Very good. There has been a motion to amend the consent agenda. It has been seconded. If there is no discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
That has passed 5-0. Then Councilor Anderson Jr. made a motion to amend the consent agenda again. And is there a second on that?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Jameson. Thank you. And is there any discussion on that item? A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
That has passed 5-0. If there are no other changes, let's vote on the main motion with the two amendments.
All right. Council members Jameson,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Thank you. That has passed 5-0. Now move to our regular agenda. Council, any changes to the regular agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Councilor Jameson has been a motion to approve our regular agenda tonight, seconded by Councilor Erickson. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
That has passed 5-0. Folks, again, welcome. It's good to have you here tonight. This is an opportunity for you to engage the council if you'd like to on any topic. We'd ask you to do is just keep your comments to 5 minutes or less, and if you could just introduce yourself to the people of the town. Welcome.
Scott Harrisman, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Before I get into my main thing, a quick note about the consent agenda and what Councilor Staggers pulled out of there about the indoor pool. I was reading an interesting story today, and I encourage you all to go to cbsnews.com and read it. It's about a guy who built a house in Rhode Island, $1.8 million home. He built it on a state park and didn't realize it because the developer never told him. So then he went to go try to sell the home, and the state said, it's a park. It was only designated supposed to be a park. And basically told him he owes the state $1.5 million so he can sell his home and remove it. Kind of goes back to Spellerberg and the quitclaim deed and how that should be really straightened out before an indoor pool is built there, or otherwise we could have ourselves a similar situation. I just happened to come across the story. I wanted to talk about all the money that was spent in the city election. I always do a fun little math thing where you take the campaign finance reports, and then you take the number of votes the winning candidates get and the losing candidates get and how much money they spent per vote. I'd have to say the big winner of the night was probably Snowgates. They spent $0 on each vote, and they got over 77% of the vote. The unfortunate part about that is we could have used Snowgates this last winter, but certain councilors decided to vote against a special election. It's obvious that citizens wanted the Snowgates, but there were certain people on the council that didn't believe we needed them. Like I said, big winners of the night. Big losers of the night were Walmart. Oh yeah, they got their zoning pushed through, but they spent $23.56 per vote, $468,000 to convince people to put in a Walmart. I told someone they should have just sent out gift cards. They probably would have got more votes. Number two was Mayor Heather. He spent $12.35 a vote. What I found was the winners spent double per vote than what the losers spent. I guess the thing that we need to look at here is the city is that campaign financing is getting kind of out of control. There needs to be some limits set, not only through the state legislature, but also citywide, how much money can be spent. I think it's kind of disgusting that a private international corporation can come in and spend $23.56 per vote. You know what their opposition spent? 29 cents per vote. Walmart spent 81 times more than the opposition. A grassroots effort. It's time that we take money out of these elections. I was trying to find some information today. When Mayor Munson ran for his first term, I remember the big hoopla. There was a lot of money being spent. His competitor spent more money to him, Mr. Brown, and I can't remember how much it was. But I believe Mayor Munson spent about $25,000, and he beat Brown, and Brown spent more. I think, geez, that wasn't that many years ago. And now we have $468,000 being spent on a zoning issue for land that Walmart doesn't even own. Like I said, I don't know how much the city council can do, but it was something that public services really needs to look at. This kind of money being spent is atrocious. It is corrupting our town, it's corrupting our system, and it's leaving citizens out of the process. I see citizen after citizen walk up here and make their claims and denied by this council that's funded by these special interests. And I don't know if this is a state legislature thing or if it's a city council thing. This really needs to be looked at. We need to have regular citizens being able to come up here and have their voice heard and to run for city council and not be competed by, you know, people spending $23.56 a vote. I can't imagine if I ran for city council where I would come up with $23.56 for 3,500 people to vote for me. It needs to be looked at. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Welcome.
Bruce Danielson, Sioux Falls Citizens for Integrity. I want to welcome Ms. Erickson and Mr. Kiley to the council. I haven't had a chance to come up and say congratulations and for your seats on the council. And I've been coming up here the last couple of years a little more often, trying to get some things understood, even by me, to try and understand why the city council and the city in general does things and why they don't seem to want to pay any attention to the citizens on many issues. Scott brought up the Snowgate issue, and we're going through the pool, you know, just asking questions. We've had some really strange and interesting elections that have happened, and you know, with the event center and a few other things, and all these things seem to bother us, and so I just, you know, it comes down to asking a real simple question, and it's been asked of what the definition of insanity is, and you keep doing the same thing over and over again. We got a panic message last night about don't use water, don't flush your toilets, just, you know, go to bed without doing whatever it is you do before you go to bed, apparently. And why did we get that message last night? You know, it's poor planning. You know, so we ended up with a bunch of street flooding last night, all over town, all over the area. We have a problem with down on 85th Street, and 85th Street floods down into where Schindler Creek starts. And all that now flows down to all those people that are living downstream, and they all got flooded. Look what happened to Harrisburg with all that extra water that's coming from the developments here in Sioux Falls, because none of this stuff is being planned for. The retention ponds aren't big enough that are called for. You know, where's the developers' involvement in all of this? So, and speaking of the developers, where's their contribution for the infrastructure that they're supposed to be putting in to match on the streets? I understand they're way behind and getting caught up. You know, where's our $9 or $11 million for infrastructure that was borrowed for the working on the Sioux River work, which is now going into a plaything, a toy that is doing nothing for the infrastructure of Sioux Falls. Last night was a fine example when I was watching my rain gauge fill. You know, I got an inch of rain in 20 minutes. We don't have the infrastructure in this town to handle this kind of stuff, and if you do any kind of climate study at all, you'll see that we're going to be continually getting more of it. So, you know, do we take and park boats over on Phillips Avenue so that those pedestrians have some way to get from, you know, one side of the street to the other? I know infrastructure is boring to many. And, you know, it's possibly very boring to you people sitting before me. But we can't put an edifice, it becomes boring because there isn't going to be some grand big building when it's all done that's going to have a fancy interior, exterior, whatever you want it to have, and a bronze plaque with your names on it in the end. Infrastructure is that thing that's underneath us that makes this a town that can grow. And right now, I'm not seeing real solid work being done for infrastructure, especially when we take money that was set aside, that was borrowed specifically for infrastructure, and gets put into a plaything. So my other definition for insanity is Sioux Falls is always planning for the past. We never seem to really look forward to the future. And how much are we going to borrow needlessly for all this poor planning? In the future, as things start collapsing, just like when we dumped into the Sioux River and got that minuscule $10,000 fine or whatever it was because we had to dump all our sewer line in because the sewer lines were blowing up in town a few years ago. You know, what else are we going to be? What else is going to be blowing up around here? I understand we might get anywhere from 2 to 5 inches more rain this week. There's that possibility. Where's that going to go with our ground already wet? Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Folks, welcome.
Good evening, Greg Neitzert. Before I talk about what I originally was going to talk about, I guess I'd just like to say, for my part, just responding to Scott, I started Forward Zoning, as many of you know, which was a group that advocated for the adoption of shaped places. I guess you could say we outspent our competitors. I think I alone contributed more to our group than the entire other group spent. I'm just an ordinary person. I just believed in the cause. I'm not a bigwig. I'm not a developer. I just believed in the cause and believed in what I was doing, and it was the first time I'd ever done anything like it, and anybody else is free to do it, so I would just encourage anybody who wants to do it. It's there for the taking. You just got to go for it. What I came to talk about, as I said, most of you know that I was involved in advocating for shaped places, but it's a large ordinance, and with any large ordinance, nothing is perfect. It's not perfect. There's one area that I believe that needs to be addressed, and that would be off-premise signs, otherwise known as billboards to the layperson. Under the old ordinance, billboards were allowed in the industrial district and in the C2 commercial district, and C2 essentially hasn't been used in many years, so it essentially relegated billboards to just certain corridors like Cliff Avenue and Minnesota and 41st Street and none of the, what I guess you would say is newer areas. Under shaped places, billboards are now allowed on any commercial property where the structure on it is greater than 4,000 square feet, which means just about any commercial property could now have a billboard. It opens up a lot of doors, and we're already seeing that. We saw that at the Board of Adjustment meeting last night, of which I am a member. We had a couple hearings on that. I don't think the vast majority of citizens or the council are probably even aware of it. It was kind of an arcane change, so it was easy to miss. There's no required separation distances for billboards to any sensitive use. That would include residential properties. So if you were adjacent to a commercial property, a billboard could get placed right next door to you. There's no separation distance. That would include illuminated and electronic signs. So that's something that I don't think anybody is aware of and we need to be thinking about. I believe such a big policy change deserves discussion sooner than later. I think we need to ask ourselves, are we okay with more billboards? Are we okay with billboards located just about anywhere we have commercial? Are we okay with billboards including illuminated or electronic close to adjacent to residential uses? This sort of change really needs a public discussion. I would encourage the council and specifically the land use committee to take this up sooner than later so we can decide what we want to do as a community. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Folks, welcome.
Yes, my name is Virginia Graham. I live here in Sioux Falls. We had a standoff at an apartment building of ours on May 7th, 513 Southwestern. I suppose you've seen it on TV and also in the paper. There was a fellow chased from Jefferson Avenue right over to our building by the police department. He ran into a laundry room of ours in the basement of one of our units. The police finally threw bombs or something in there, busted out every window in the apartment. When I called down to talked to the chief of police. I thought maybe I'd get an answer, you know. And she said, oh, bring a bill down to the city hall, no department or anything, and we'll take care of it. You call Mike Hall, and he'll take care of the whole situation. Well, I called Mike Hall, and his answer was, turn it over to your insurance, and you probably ought to get a lawyer. Well, who pays the deductible and who pays the lawyer? You know, I didn't have the problem. So, anyway, he said he would talk to the sergeant in charge that night. Okay, I'll wait for a call. 2 weeks later, still no call. I don't know where the sergeant moved to or where my call was for 2 weeks, but he wasn't around. So, can anyone just walk up and bust up somebody else's property, including the Sioux Falls Police Department, and nobody has to pay anything? Somebody ought to be accountable for this. I mean, they pulled up in the front yard with this big SWAT team truck parked down the lawn. The driveway was 5 to 6 feet away. They could have parked in the driveway instead of pulling right front on the lawn and leaving big tracks from the big old truck sitting there. Well, to this day, I've heard nothing. But they want it secured, and they want us to do this, and they want us to do that, but they ain't coming up with an answer on who's going to pay the bill. Should the landlord absorb this? I mean, don't look to me like we should have to absorb it. So, I think we ought to be getting some kind of an answer here on this from somebody. Okay?
Very good. We'll have Mike Hall follow up with you. I'll certainly get in touch with him tomorrow and have him follow up so that you can get an answer one way or the other.
I mean, we had to order the windows because the frames were actually unrepairable. There was no way you could cut glass and fix it. You had to order new windows. So it took 3 weeks to get the windows. The windows are now here and the new doors put on, and we plan on securing it, but I don't think it should cost us a dime to do this.
Thank you, Virginia.
Okay?
Thank you.
I thank you.
Folks, is there anybody else who wants to engage the council? Very good. Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate that. We'll now move to Councilor Staggers had 2 items on the consent agenda he wanted to discuss. They both involved legal work with the indoor aquatics facility. Councilor Staggers, did you have specific questions on these 2 topics?
Well, we have $210,000 going to the TIGRA group, and I did talk to Don Kearney about this, but I don't know, is Don here? But anyway, I was just not really fully clear as to what the TIGRA group is going to do. He mentioned that the indoor aquatics facility will probably be done the same way as the event center, having a group like Mortensen actually, overseeing the project. But I'm not really sure what the TIGRA group does, and apparently they're also involved in the event center too. Somebody could.
Mark, you want to give it a shot, or else I can do it too. We've talked about TIGRA for about 3 years now, but would you mind?
Certainly. The TIGRA group they've been a great part of the event center team. They're essentially owners' representatives. Dick Strasberg, that's on the event center team, and he would also be involved with this aquatic center. He's a registered architect, and he's just, with his vast experience, has really helped us navigate through a number of issues. At the end of the day, you hire architects and designers, and their job is to design a good facility, but they still have to have their interest in mind first. You hire a constructor to construct the facility, and they have to have their interest in mind first. They're a private company. When you hire an owner's rep to look out for your best interest and to take on parts of the project plan, they have your interest in mind. And I will tell you, from having Dick Strasberg on the event center team, from the initial selections to negotiating the contracts, that they've they've saved us what their fee is in decisions throughout the entire process. Very few elements of a project team you can say that, but they do deliver that value. So having an owner's rep with your interest in mind is critical. This is a $20 million project, and something that will be in this city for generations to come, and will be a good investment.
I guess my understanding was like with the event center, Mortensen was representing us, but we also had Tigra too. Huh? So we had two different entities.
Let me clarify. The Think Homes Deaf Lifts team, along with Coke Hazard, they're the project architects. Okay. Mortensen is the construction manager at risk. They're in charge of constructing the facility along with their subcontractors. And then there's an owner. And an owner is in charge of being that liaison between the two. Not having done these types of projects, you're best to not do these on your own. And so you bring in a professional like an owner's rep, registered architect that can be on your team to make sure that you're making the right decisions as you navigate through that process. So there's really three different pieces. There's an owner, that's the city of Sioux Falls, and we bolt on Tegra as our owner's representative. So we can speak that same language as they do, and then the architects along with the constructor.
Okay.
Very typically, you'll see owner's reps be about 1% of the project costs, and that's what you're seeing here.
Okay.
Council, would anybody want to make a motion on this item?
Move for approval, Anderson.
Second.
It's been a motion to approve this item and has been seconded. If there is no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
And that has passed 4-1. The second item involved legal services. David, you want to try to answer that one? Thank you.
Counselor, what questions do you have?
Well, I guess when I take a look at the city attorney's office, we have a lot of good people there. And we might not have anybody specifically designated to do these kind of contracts, but we certainly could provide the training so that they could do this also in the future. So I guess, once again, I think we have a lot of good people that can do this.
We appreciate the vote of confidence, Counselor. However, for a project of this magnitude, we certainly think the $30,000 is a wise use of the city resources to have a person who is called the state's leading contract law experts to protect our interests in drafting the contract with the construction manager at risk and also the architect. Both Mark Cotter and I did quite a few calls in finding Jim Wiederick, and it was fascinating how even the senior partners at other competing law firms were all telling us the same thing. Jim Wiederick is the one to hire. We certainly do 1,200 contracts a year review or drafting in-house, which is plenty, and we have certainly some ability there, but frankly, to have a project of magnitude like the event center or this indoor pool, it's a wise use of resources to have the state's leading expert be our attorney to just assist us in that area.
If I could ask just one other quick question, and that is, this is going to pass, so we're going to hire them to do this. How many other contracts do we have farmed out each year approximately? We do 1,200 in
farmed out, you mean in terms of attorneys, Counselor?
Yeah, like what we're doing right here.
It's quite rare that we have an outside contract attorney. We did for the event center and now for the pool, but certainly we've done almost all of the contracts in-house. But frankly, there's just once in a while you need an outside expert. It's like you're going to a group of physicians and you may need a specialist in a certain area. It works the same in the law. We don't have, say, a bond expert, and for a large multi-million-dollar projects, we think it's worthwhile to have a contract law specialist to assist us in drafting language that will specifically protect the city.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor, thank you. Would anybody want to make a motion here?
Move to approve, Jameson.
Second, Anderson.
Councilor Jameson's made a motion to approve this item, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
That is passed 5-0. Thank you. Now we'll move on to item number 12.
All right, item 12, deferred action from the City Council meeting of June 3rd, 2014. New 2014 retail wine license for JLB SF2 Inc., JL Beers, to be operated at 2530 South Louise Avenue, pending final inspections by Fire, Health, and Building Services. Item 13, deferred action from City Council meeting of June 3rd, 2014. New 2014-15 retail malt beverage license for JLB SF2 Inc., JL Beers, to be operated at 2530 South Louise Avenue, pending final inspections per Fire, Health, and Building Services. 14, new 2014 packaged liquor license for Bauer Enterprises LLC BP to be operated at 5108 North Cliff Avenue. 15 is a new 2014-15 retail malt beverage license for Commonwealth Gaming and Holding Deuces Casino 2A to be operated at 1912 West 41st Street, Suite A. Item 16, special one-day malt beverage license for Holy Spirit Knights of Columbus to be operated at Holy Spirit Catholic Church, 3601 East Dudley Lane, for a fundraiser on June 28, 2014. Item 17, special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for Sioux Falls Irish Club to be operated at Falls Park West, Falls Park Drive for the Dakota Irish Fair to be held on July 26, 2014. And item 18, various retail malt beverage, South Dakota Farm Winery, packaged malt beverage, and packaged malt beverage, South Dakota Farm Winery license renewals for 2014-15 to be operated at various locations in the city of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, identified as Exhibit E.
Good evening, Jamie Palmer with licensing. For items 12 and 13, I would kindly request a motion to withdraw those two items. The applicant is no longer the leaseholder for that property, and per state law, they have to be in order to apply for that license. So unfortunately, they are not going to be able to proceed with that. So,
I move to withdraw items 12 and 13.
Second.
Councilor Kiley's made a motion to withdraw items 12 and 13. It has been seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. Jamie explained why. Roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That is passed 6-0. Jamie, any other comments?
Yeah, item 14 is a new license request for a package liquor license. The applicant currently holds a package malt license, which will expire at the end of this month. They aren't planning to renew that. And you may notice this business recently failed an underage sting. However, there hasn't been conviction yet. So if this new license is approved tonight and a conviction occurs, they will answer to that underage failure this fall when their license is renewed. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. Item 15 is a new license request, and I would kindly request an amendment to that item as well to include the verbiage including video lottery terminals. Items 16 and 17 are special one-day requests for upcoming events. And item 18 includes the renewal applicants that have had underage sales convictions within the last year. There are 4 businesses that have representatives present tonight. Their approved security management plans have been made available to you, and they were approved by the police department. Lieutenant Terry Mixel is present tonight in case you have any questions that pertains to the sting operation. And I'm happy to answer any other questions for you and introduce the folks that are here tonight to speak to you.
Mayor?
Yes.
Motion to amend agenda item 15 by adding the words include video lottery terminals between licensee and for. The revised language will now read new 2014-15 retail malt beverage license, including video lottery terminals for Commonwealth Gaming and Holding Casino, IIA, to be operated at 1912 West 41st Street, Suite A.
Second, Erpenbach.
Councilors, thank you for making the amendment as well as seconding it. Any discussion? Roll call vote on the amended motion.
Council members Jameson,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Thank you. And that passed 6-0. And that was a vote on the amendment, not the amended motion. I'm sorry. Now we should vote on the amended motion. Okay. Motion to approve all of them as amended.
So a motion to approve all of those items as read, 14 through 18, including the amendment on 15.
Thank you, Councilor.
Second.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Council members Jamison?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That has passed 6-0. Thank you, Jamie.
Do you want the applicants to come forward?
Yes, there's 4 applicants.
Already passed?
Yes, we already approved it. So I guess we're in good shape. Thank you. Item 19.
This is deferred action from the City Council meeting of June 3rd, 2014. Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property north of West 69th Street and west of South Southeastern Avenue from the RS Single Family Residential, Suburban, and Conservation Districts to the RA3 Apartment Residential High Density District, petition number 2014-0406, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
Good evening, Mike Cooper with City Planning and Building Services. The applicant for this item is Jim Dunham, representing 69th Street Land Holdings, LLC. The property consists of about 5.4 acres. And the proposal is to construct an apartment complex that would be 3 levels with about 132 units. Although the Planning Commission had recommended approval and we did not receive any public comment, staff had requested this deferral because we're also working with adjoining property owners to the north on some additional zoning changes. There was a neighborhood meeting held last night. Councilmember Kylie was at that meeting, I understand. And we believe that we now have a plan for changing the zoning north of this apartment site that will be going to the City Planning Commission in July. And with that in mind, staff is ready to recommend that you go forward with this second reading tonight.
Mike, thank you. This is a second reading, folks. Did anybody want to speak to this item? Very good. Councilor Erpenbach?
I would just ask Mike, what were your concerns? Why was staff concerned about it?
We wanted to make sure that the property owners were working together.
Okay.
And they are.
Okay, great.
Along with the neighborhood.
Okay, I would move approval then.
Second.
Councilor Box made a motion to approve item 19, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jamison?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That has passed 6-0. Item 20.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the Code of Ordinances of the city by amending Chapter 57, Garbage and Recycling, to increase rates at the landfill in Section 57047.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight we'll take you through 3 rate adjustment ordinances. All 3 of these have been a collaboration between the finance team, the public works team, and our consultant for QC check, AE2S. These are cost of service rate increases that match the operational and capital budgets for these respective utilities, and we'll get started. As we've done in the past, as we talked about at the first reading, we went through a detailed presentation, had what we believe is a really good exchange and discussion on questions, and tonight we have the results of that presentation and the recommended rate adjustments. For the sanitary landfill, we're recommending rate adjustments for the time period of 2015 and 2016. We only are recommending rate adjustments for the year 2015, no rate adjustments in 2016. Here's the 2 slides. If you are to look at your typical garbage bill from your hauler, Our calculated, based on the assumptions we've worked with them on, is that when we raise the tipping fee amount of $1 per ton at the landfill, that would equate to about 19 cents on your monthly charge for 2015, and 0 increase is recommended for 2016. We do have this slide that takes you through, if you're a hauler, what increases that you'd see. For the MSW, which is municipal solid waste, we recommend a $1 per ton tipping fee for 2015 only. No fee increase for 2016. Construction and demolition debris fee, also $1 per ton tipping fee increase for 2015. No increase for 2016. If you are bringing waste to us and you're outside the 5 counties that are served by this regional landfill, in the past we had I would say, somewhat of a non-justifiable charge, which was just nearly $100 per ton, nearly 3 times. We've worked with our public works attorney to bring that back down to nearly twice the in-service area rate. So we're actually recommending a decrease on MSW and C&D to offset both those down to $64 per ton. And then we have a number of just small fee adjustments that would reconcile against these larger rates. Again, only rate increases are recommended for 2015. No rate increases are recommended for 2016. We're here for questions. We would ask for your support.
Thanks, Mark. Again, second reading, folks. Anybody want to speak to this item? Councilor Staggers?
Yes, Mark. Last week we talked about the vote for the garbage can placement being a 5-3-3 vote. I was just curious, what was the vote on this one?
Rate increases, since they're cost of service, we don't take those to the Solid Waste Planning Board.
Oh, okay.
And so there was not a vote on this. This is something that only rests with the elected body.
Okay.
In my opinion. So in the past, we've never taken rate increases to the Solid Waste Planning Board. We've used them as the policy sounding board before we bring policy changes to you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Councilor Jameson.
Thank you, Mark or Dean. The MSW cost reduction for those people outside the 5 county, what kind of dollar amount are we talking for volume? Or maybe I shouldn't ask that, but more so, why decrease it? Are you having trouble bringing it? Are you getting complaints about the cost? It seems odd that we would lower the price that much if we're
Dean,
not getting
Do
something.
you want to speak to that?
Are we just being a nice guy?
Dean Borkart with Public Works. That accounts for really $0 of our tipping fee. I mean, we rarely get anything from out of state, but based upon the direction from our attorney, the fee that we had on record was not justifiable. We don't want, the landfill is established for the 5 county region, but with that being said, you can't just basically set a rate that no one would be able to. This is a justifiable. We're planning it for our 5 county region. So if you want to come in, we have to protect our customers. So we figured approximately 2 times the rate would be a justifiable amount. But as far as what portion of what we expect to see in revenue from that would be $0, Councilor.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Councilor, thank you.
Move for approval, Anderson.
Second, Erpenbach.
Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to approve this item, seconded by Councilor Erpenbach. There has been some discussion. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That has passed 5-1. Thank you. Item 21.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the Code of Ordinances of the city by amending Chapter 51, Utility Rates and Charges, Subchapter Storm Drainage, and Subchapter Stormwater Drainage System Improvement, Cost Recovery.
All right, thank you again. This presentation is to set the rates for 3 years for the storm drainage utility, 2015, 16, and 17. We've not adjusted rates on this utility for some time, and we wanted to, just like we've done with all our other utilities, take in a phased approach, multi-year approach, and that's what this presentation does. And so there's really two key revenue streams that come into the storm drainage fund. There's a fee that you pay on your taxes on an annual basis, and that's what these first three slides represent. So for a typical residential property, the rate increases on an annual basis for 2015 would be $3.04. For 2016 would be $3.32, and for 2017 would be $3.60. Next slide. And then there's the second component of how this utility receives revenue, and it's from the developers. As land is developed, those respective zoning codes that are on the left-hand side of that chart, based on what you're zoning, that determines how much you pay per platted acre. We've highlighted single family, but we would have a 3-year phased-in approach for all of these recommended platting fee changes. It's approximately 8% rate increase per year, and the single family would go up those respective years, but also with those other zoning classifications. This is for the platting fee called DSCR, which is the Drainage System Cost Recovery. We utilize this fund to build the ponds, fund the oversizing of large pipes, and other costs that are needed to build the drainage system with development. The RDC platting fee, this is a regional detention charge platting fee, and this actually funds the purchase of land for these regional facilities. Did the same approach here. We highlighted single family zoning change. This is a relatively small increase over the 3-year period. It's a 2% rate increase per year. The combination of the drainage fee changes and the platting fee changes for these 3 years will match the operation and capital requirements of this utility. We're here for questions. We would ask for your support.
Thanks, Mark. Folks, second reading, anybody interested in addressing this topic? Thank you, Council. Councilor Jameson.
Thank you, Mark. And just a couple curious questions on the rate increases and the extra money that will be generated. Is that enough to kind of fund what you need to do? Is it enough money to fund in advance of what you should be doing? Are you getting ahead of it, or are you just staying caught up?
You know, we've challenged, Andy Berg is here, we've challenged him to build a capital plan that he, being the principal drainage engineer, is comfortable with, not only on a maintenance standpoint, but also on a capital standpoint. They spent a lot of time on their capital plan, knowing that we would take a 3-year rate increase, and this will set this utility up for what the capital needs are for the next 3 years. Okay.
Councilor Urbanbach.
Valid question after last night, right?
Valid, very valid.
So, and I guess that's all of our concerns, but I think, too, we need to look at that idea that because we've kept up with this, we were able to handle last night for the most part, and so I think Council should support these increases.
That's true, and right now we do have a good cash balance in this account, and we're going to be able to utilize those current cash balances to make investments. Just last week we highlighted some, timely, good neighborhood drainage projects that we've upgraded. We've got a number of those in the queue. We're going to continue to make those. We've challenged the team. This is the plan that they need.
Move to approve, Jameson.
Second, Urbanbach.
Thank you, Councilors. Councilor Jameson's made a motion to approve this item, seconded by Councilor Urbanbach. Councilor Staggers?
Yes, I was at a meeting today dealing with workforce development. And in talking about workforce development, one of the ideas that was brought up is that we have to have more affordable housing. And so we spent some time talking about that. What we're doing right now is not contributing to affordable housing. We're contributing to increased costs of housing here in Sioux Falls. So for those people who are concerned about affordable housing, you shouldn't vote for this at all. They have a good cash balance, as already indicated. And because I think affordable housing is very important for Sioux Falls, I'm voting against this.
Councilor Jameson.
I just wanted to talk to that as well. I mean, you're right, it does raise the cost of housing for sure, but you've got to do these kinds of things in order for us to have the city to have the housing in. And I just think it's just part of the big picture, and It's unfortunate that it does affect the cost of every home, but it's absolutely necessary, and Andy has got to stay ahead of it. So I support it.
Councilor Mock.
And it's not affordable housing if you're continually pumping sewage waste out of your basement when it backs up. And this, we're proving that we're solving a lot of those issues with this.
Thank you. Councilor Stagers.
But as already indicated before, we do have a nice cash balance here. And so that being the case, we're not under any super necessity to do this. Now, if we were, that'd be a different story, but we're not.
Mayor, but for that cash balance, these rate increases would be greater. And so you're going to leverage the cash that you have in the fund today to then soften that effect on customers. The other component is we do heavily discuss these kinds of rate increases, especially when it comes to platting fees with the Home Builders Association. Their development and utilities are represented on the Infrastructure Review and Advisory Board, and this is the approach that got a unanimous yes to raise these fees on the Infrastructure Review and Advisory Board.
So IRAB votes for these increases.
They do.
That's right. But the when it comes to garbage rates, the other board does not.
Right. The when Infrastructure Review and Advisory Board was set up, one of its premises was, and it was prior to me, but as you read their mission, it was to evaluate costs on development. And that's why the primary, not only policy, but costs are brought to that body. And so each year, even if we make a change, say we ask for an external manhole seal from a casting to a concrete cone, one of our commitments we make to that IRAB board is we come and tell them how much that's going to impact the cost of every manhole that the developer has to put in. And so just like these rates for that, we take that to the IRAB board, and they did vote unanimous for it. Yep.
Thank you. There has been a motion on this.
There has.
It has been seconded.
Yes.
Good discussion. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That has passed 5-1. Item 22.
An ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the Code of Ordinances of the city by amending Chapter 51, Utility Rates and Charges, Subchapter General Provisions, and Subchapter Sewer.
All right, this item sets the rates for 2015 and 2016. We're going to highlight again the impact to the typical residential customer, but we do have rate changes for all the respective customer classes. For 2015, the impact of a 6% rate increase would impact the typical wastewater bill by an additional $1.63 per month. As you break that down, your wastewater bill today has two charges. Its first is a basic charge. One of the things that this council has always asked for is keep the basic charge as low as it needs to be, and then have people pay for their respective usage. And then the increase on flow on 6% is the second component of your bill, and so then that is what that's what rolls up that $1.63 impact. Here are some of the industrial customers and outside customer rates that are recommended. All are very nominal and reasonable. The 2016 recommended rate increase on a typical residential household is an $1.46 addition to every month. And here are those respective deltas. The top, go back one. The top one is the residential customer. The basic charge, raising that by 5% would raise that 19 cents per month. And when we raise the flow unit, that would raise it about 18 cents per unit. Next slide. Then we also have two fee increases that we have not addressed for a number of years that we'd like to get reconciled. Right now, when a developer has to core into clay tile, it's very specialized equipment. We have not changed these rates, I believe, since about 2000. And so recognizing labor, tool expense, and the equipment, the boots that go in these respective sewer taps, our recommendation is to change the current fee for a 4-inch sewer tap from $149.75 to $400 in 15 for a 4-inch, $425 and for a 6-inch, and then take them up an inflationary amount for 2016. We're here to answer your questions, and we'd ask for your support.
Thanks, Mark. Folks, another second reading. Any interest? No. Council? Councilor Ermbach.
You know, I would just comment that this is the time of year that we get beat up the most because we're raising rates and we're making it more expensive to live in Sioux Falls. But I appreciate the way that staff has structured this so that conservation matters. You know, that base rate stays really low. So if I conserve water, if I can, you know, recycle more, all of those types of things play into this so that it really is user-based. And I think that's important for council to understand that we've asked for that year after year, and that's the way this works. It's user-based, and I just appreciate that approach.
You're welcome.
Councilor Stangers.
Well, I guess maybe I disagree a little bit with this being user-based. I mean, this is all city-based. I haven't seen any statements from any users saying they're really excited about this at all. This is all purely money, more money for the city of Sioux Falls. That's all it is.
Councilor Anderson, Jr.
Mark, I just want to tell you, I've had a few citizens come up to me and talk to me about these rate increases. Each one of them said in the beginning they, of course, are upset that they're going to see their rate increase, but they also love to watch these presentations because we explain the reasons why that we need to do these things, and that by the end of the time we're done discussing these, they're no longer mad about it. They understand the rates, that we have to provide a service and we have to do a business. And ever since I've been on the council, we've been doing a lot of rate raising. We, you know, there was a few years there that it was sort of painful. And at least now we're down to, you know, a real structured environment as far as raising these rates. And I think the citizens do understand the reasons why we're doing this, and you know, I ask everyone to support this.
Thank you.
Councilor Jameson.
Thank you. I was wondering if Dean would be willing to talk a little bit about our conversation that we had last week, or after the first reading, when we talked about some of the new technology that you're considering about people using their volume of water and the notifications of it. And are you comfortable talking about that, or am I out of order?
No, you're fine, Counselor. One of the things that we're continuing to evaluate is how we can best use some of these dollars to put real-time information in the hands of our customers. One of the challenges we have, especially in the summertime, is we see a large volume change in several customers, and it could be because they have a watering of their lawn. During the winter months, if we see a peak, we try and reach out to those customers, but it still is manually done by looking at each one of those individual reads by a 6-member team of billing cashiers at our utility billing office. We'd really like to shift that over and provide some type of real-time service to our customers, and we're evaluating that possibility with what they call customer engagement software. It's in the initial stages of a review. It is built into the 2015 budget proposal that you'll see for the utility billing team to purchase this, but ultimately it would give the citizen hopefully the ability where they could set a benchmark. Once I hit 2 CCF of use, they get a notification via email, a phone call, or a text, something along those lines set by them. They could set what that volume is, and then they could get notified, so we don't have some of the shocks that happens to our citizens today. With that being said, that's where we're going and what we'd like to get to, but we want to make sure it works well with our billing system as well as our metering system to make sure that we work through those items, so when we bring that forward, it will be effective for our citizens.
If I could, the the discussion was really good, Dean, and the thoughts were, just like your cell phone use, if you were doing some heavy bandwidth use and all of a sudden you're shocked that when you get your bill that you just bought a whole bunch of extra stuff. Same thing with your water. If you didn't realize that you're on a trip and all of a sudden, zing, you're going through all kinds of water, well, maybe you've got a problem at home that somebody else could go check on. I just think it's a great next step, and I'm excited for that, and I believe the customers would also benefit because we've all probably dealt with those customers who've had a water bill that showed up and they're mad as heck because they know they didn't use the water and they don't want to pay for it either. And I just think you're headed in the right direction, and I just wanted to share that conversation with the rest of the group because I thought it was really beneficial. So thank you.
Councilor, thank you. A very good discussion. Councilor Engineer.
Last thing, I guess I'll piggyback off of Councilman Jameson. One other thing, I know, Mark, we've talked about this also. We have a renewable energy policy. I would really like to see some ideals coming up in our CIP in the future years on how we can save, some money basically using renewables.
Councilor, thank you. I can't even tell you, did we have a motion yet?
We do not yet,
Thank
Mayor.
you. Thank you very
Move for
much, Lori.
approval.
Councilor Anderson Jr., thank you for that motion.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Kiley, for seconding it. There's been good discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Staggers,
No.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 5-1. Item 23.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the Code of Ordinances of the city by amending subsections 110.033 through 110.035 of Chapter 110, licenses of Title 11, business regulations by revising annual fees for licenses and permits and fire department inspections for licenses issued by other city departments.
Council, Dean Lanier, Fire Marshal with Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. This is first reading for this amendment to ordinance. It outlines the changes that we'd like to make to our licensing and permit fees. We're suggesting a 15% increase in those fees. They've been incrementally changed at about a 7 to 8 year increment, and it's been at least 7 years since the last time these fees were addressed.
Thank you, Fire Marshal Dean. Appreciate it. This is a first reading, folks, so you don't get engaged to council yet. Council, any questions? Councilor Staggers?
Yes. Can you just give us some of the increases?
Yes, I will come back with the increases that we've made over the years to all these licenses and fees. Absolutely.
Okay.
We should have a copy of these increases for you. Yes.
Okay. What's the biggest increase in terms of money?
The largest increase will be on our permit side. Generally, fire sprinklers and fire alarms are the highest dollar value permits. We're going from $75 to, I believe it's $87.
Okay.
Yes. But we also have some analysis to show you at second reading as well, in comparative analysis.
How often do landowners have to pay this inspection?
As far as permit fees, the permits are done just during construction or a renovation project. As far as licensing fees, those fees are collected one time per year. They are only for specific commercial businesses that are required a license by fire code.
Okay.
Yeah. It is not commercial business wide. It's not spread over. We have somewhere in the neighborhood of about 7,000 to 8,000 commercial businesses in the city. Those businesses that are required license are about 1,100 to 1,200.
Okay.
Councilor Jameson.
Thank you. The 15% increase is did you say it? Maybe I missed it. Is that based on some mathematical equation?
It's based on analysis that we did across the region and with similarly sized cities to Sioux Falls that have the same type of fire department. We stuck with accredited fire departments and those who have lower ISO ratings so that we really compared apples to apples. That's where we brought our analysis from to recommend the 15% increase.
Okay, so it's a part of your analysis,
Yes,
and
sir.
will we have that, or we'll have that
Yes,
next
sir.
time?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Folks, at this time, we're not approving these. We're just setting a date of hearing and second reading for Tuesday, July 1st. Would anybody be interested in making that motion? Or, I'm sorry, Councilor Urbanbach,
One
please.
quick question. Didn't we have this as an informational session?
Yes, we came in and proposed this in front of Public Services.
We talked about it at length at that point, and it's also on SIRE at this point. So it's not something that's a big surprise to us. We're just setting a date for a hearing then when we'll hear the details.
Just to
Thank you.
piggyback off of that, we also contacted every license owner as well as all the contractors who do business here in Sioux Falls and let them know of the date of the first reading as well as proposed second reading.
Thank you. Then I would move approval, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Urbanbach, and thank you, Councilor Erickson, for seconding that. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson.
Yes.
Kylie.
Yes.
Staggers.
If I could just clarify, this is for the second
Just
reading.
setting a date of hearing and second reading for Tuesday, July 1st.
Okay, yes.
Thank you, Councilor.
Okay. Anderson.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That has passed 6-0. Item 24.
First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 9000 West 26th Street from the AG Agriculture District to the RA2 Apartment Residential Moderate Density District, petition number 2014-0401, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
Okay, we have a number of first readings tonight. The Planning Commission has been busy. This item is submitted by Jim Dunham. The properties consist of just over 6 acres and is proposing to develop this into multifamily residential with a total of 120 living units. This would include 4 3-story apartment buildings of 26 units each, as well as 2 2-story 8-plex buildings. When this first came to staff as a proposal, the entire site was going to be developed as the multifamily. We've had conversations with the adjoining property owner to the east, who's developing residential, and we were able to work out the proposal that's in front of you tonight that did go through Planning Commission without any public opposition. So that northeast corner will be the 8-plexes, and the balance of the site will be the multifamily. With our shaped places, again, we have the buffer yard requirements, which would be along the east side of this proposed rezoning. And there will also be substantial on-site stormwater detention. And I'll keep emphasizing that all new development goes through a pretty good amount of review with engineering on stormwater drainage improvements. So this is an example of where the shaped places ordinance is working. We were able to work this compromise between the 2 different developers, and it's being recommended for approval without any neighborhood opposition.
Thanks, Mike.
Move to set the date of second reading.
Second.
The date is Tuesday, July 1st. Councilor Urbanbach has made a motion to set that hearing, and Councilor Erickson was kind enough to second it. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson.
Yes.
Kylie.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That has passed 6-0. Item 25.
First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at the southeast corner of West 81st Street and South Audie Avenue from the RA2 Apartment Residential Moderate Density, CN Conservation and LW Live Work Districts to the RA2 Apartment Residential Moderate Density, CN Conservation and LW Live Work Districts, petition number 2014-0503, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
The applicant for this item is Eric Helland with Landscape Garden Center. This is located just to the southwest of the Landscape Garden Center facility. There's been development going on in this area, and the purpose of this rezoning is actually to deal with a stormwater detention pond. It's about 2.5 acres in size, and this is actually shifting the location of a previously approved area for stormwater drainage. Again, as we go through the more detailed engineering analysis with these developments, we spend a lot of time talking about stormwater drainage.
And this council appreciates it, Mike. Good job.
Actually, it's Public Works, so we'll give them the shout out.
Thank you. Councilor Jameson.
Mike, did the detention pond get bigger or just a different location?
Different location.
Same
primarily.
size?
Yep.
Same size.
Kind of the shifted the size, the site of it, again, based on the engineering analysis.
Okay.
Move to set the second reading for Tuesday, July 1st.
Second, Jameson.
Thank you. Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to set that date of hearing. Councilor Jameson was kind enough to second it. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson.
Yes.
Kiley.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That is passed 6-0. Have a busy town. Item 26.
First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at the northwest corner of East 26th Street and South 6 Mile Road from the AG Agriculture District to the CN Conservation, RA3 Apartment Residential High Density, RA2 Apartment Residential Moderate Density, RD2 Townhome Residential Suburban, RD1 Twin Home Duplex Residential Suburban, and C2 Commercial Neighborhood and Streetcar Districts, petition number 2014-0506, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This property is just over 32 acres in size. It is in the city limits. And the Dunn family, D-U-N-N, is the applicant. This is going to be developed into a combination of commercial at the very corner of 6 Mile Road and 26th Street, adjacent to a future stormwater detention area. And then it will transition from a higher density multifamily, which is the proposed RA3, down to smaller multifamily, and then back transitioning to more lower density residential. So this is another example of a zoning plan that we've worked with a developer. It really does complement existing development to the north and to the west, and is being recommended for approval to go forward.
Yes, Councilor Anderson Jr.
So, Mike, does that make all four corners of 6 Mile Road and 26th Street annexed in?
No, the southeast corner is still not annexed at this time. And actually, a portion of the southwest corner is still just outside the city limits.
Okay. Motion to set the second reading for Tuesday, July 1st, 2014.
Second, Erpenbach.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson Jr. Thank you, Councilor Erpenbach. They've set a motion for that second reading. Appreciate it. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson.
Yes.
Kiley.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That is passed 6-0. Town still busy. Item 27.
First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at the northeast and southeast corners of South Dakota Highway 42 and South 6 Mile Road from the AG Agriculture District to the CN Conservation, RA3 Apartment Residential High Density, C2 Commercial Neighborhood and Streetcar, and C3 Commercial Community Districts, petition number 2014-0507, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is just across the road to the east of the previous item. The applicant is Sam Assam. The site consists of about 81 acres, which is also in the city limits. And this is another example that we've been working with the applicant for actually years on a development plan for this property. And we'll talk about another one later on with the Willow Run Golf Course. But this is really tying into the growth of the east side of Sioux Falls. Again, we have a land use plan with a zoning that would provide for commercial, multifamily residential. A substantial portion of this site is being maintained for open space as well as stormwater drainage that will also tie in across to the existing golf course. The access points, we worked on that, utility services. So again, it's gone through quite a bit of review before it's gotten to this point. And we did have some inquiries from the Willow Run Homeowners Association about some of the proposed uses, but once we had the discussions with them, there was no major concerns about this proposed zoning plan.
Move to set the second reading for Tuesday, July 1st, 2014.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson Jr. Thank you, Councilor Kiley. If I can, there was a gentleman earlier who talked about we don't plan for drainage and things like that. I think we're showing just how we do actually plan for drainage. And it's in this council, the new council members, Councilor Erickson, Councilor Kiley, the councilors before you, they insist that we talk about drainage over and over and over again. And so just want to welcome you to the team. We do take drainage seriously, and that's probably why we got through the way we got through in such a grand fashion last night. Stressful, but grand fashion. Councilor Jameson.
Mike, you mentioned Willow Run. If I remember right, there was a drainage culvert under 42 that goes over to the Willow Run area. Is that from this land?
Yes. Yeah, they'll tie together.
Okay, that's it, right there. And what I had heard before from the landowner then was that that's been an ongoing problem for many years, that they were getting water from another land that they shouldn't be getting. It wasn't just from the road or something. That's all going to be corrected.
This will be corrected with this development, yes.
Very good.
Or improved, I should say, as well.
Councilor Jameson, thank you. We've got a motion here. Yeah.
We do. Motion
thank
and
you.
second. Yep.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson.
Yes.
Kiley.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That has passed 6-0. Thank you. Item 28.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property west of South Discovery Avenue and south of West 12th Street from the AG Agriculture District to the I-1 Light Industrial District, petition number 2014-0508, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
The applicant for this item is Dan Asaf. It's about a 2-acre site, and it is along West 12th, out near another major growing area of the city. The applicant is proposing to develop this with 4 self-storage buildings, again, to kind of serve that area of the city that needs more storage space. So it might seem strange that we're putting an industrial zone next to existing residential, but again, with our shaped places, we have the buffer yards and the other standards in place that will make this compatible with the surrounding development. And this also went through Planning Commission without any public comment.
Thanks, Mike. Councilor Jameson.
Could you go back just one slide, maybe another one for the satellite view? Yes, that one. The Browning Street, am I correct that is elevated over the 12th Street, or am I at a different?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
What's it?
The Browning is kind of a slope.
Yeah, there's a difference in elevation there, yes.
So they're going to be overlooking the roof of these storage units, right?
Probably, yes, yeah.
Pretty,
yeah. Much like you would a garage or any other structure, yeah.
In this picture that you're showing, the satellite version, is that indicative of the current situation? Or
pretty up to date, yes.
Those lots are vacant now?
Yes.
Okay, so the next people who do move in there will be doing so under the understanding of what's to the north of them, right?
And we have our existing fire station across the street to the north, just to kind of give you a reference of where it's at.
Yep. All right, very good, thanks.
Councilor Bach, did you have any comments? Very good, thank you.
Move to set the second reading for Tuesday, July 1st, 2014.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson Jr. Thank you, Councilor Jameson. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson.
Yes.
Kiley.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That has passed 6-0. Item 29.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at the southwest corner of East 26th Street and South Powderhouse Road from the C2 and C4 commercial, CN open space, O office institutional, RA2 and RA1 apartment residential, and RS single-family residential districts to the C2, C3, and C4 commercial, CN open space, O office institutional, RA3, RA2, and RA1 apartment residential, LW live work, RD1 twin home duplex residential suburban, and RS single-family residential suburban districts, petition number 2014-0510, and amending the zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
The applicant for this item is Dolly Farm Legacy 2, LLC. I think most of you are pretty familiar with Dolly Farm Village. It's been one of the more successful commercial developments in recent years, and it's been a great addition to the east side. With that success, the owners, developers have come forward with a new plan, a revised plan, that essentially would shift existing commercial zoning from the west to the southeast and make that west side more of a higher density multifamily residential. And I think if we do the side-by-side comparison, it might be a little easier to understand. So we put together a chart, and I'll be happy to go through that in more detail with second reading as far as the changes. But the real change is that south of the 18th Street entrance, with this proposed zoning, it would allow for more commercial development with a maximum size of up to 75,000 square feet. So it would not allow a big box retail to go into this development. And that was one of the concerns that we heard from the neighbors, as well as a concern that we had as city staff with the history of this development. Again, it's really based on the Shape Places zoning designations. There was a neighborhood meeting held prior to the Planning Commission meeting. We had one public comment, which was an email from a resident of the Split Rock Heights neighborhood, which is across the east side of Highway 11, with concerns about the continued changes that have happened with the Dolly Farm development, as well as concerns about the higher density residential that's being proposed on the west side. But again, at the Planning Commission, we did not have any actual public testimony. So this is how it's being presented to you that will go forward for second reading.
Mike, thank you. Was that Planning Commission, was that a unanimous approval?
Yes.
It was?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Council, any comments?
Move to set the date of hearing for July 1st.
Second.
Thank you. That is motion to set that date of reading, that second reading by Councilor Bach, seconded by Councilor Erickson. Any discussion? Yes, Councilor Anderson Jr.
Mike, on second reading, you will have a lot more idea of how this is going to be done.
Yeah, we'll go through a little more explanation, and the applicant will obviously be here, and then we can go through a little better explanation of why they're proposing to do this, what they believe the market is, and then give a little better explanation of their neighborhood meeting that they had.
Yeah, maybe a little explanation on the history, too.
Sure. Yep, we'll go through that.
That were made when this development started.
Right, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. A roll call vote, please, on the second reading.
All right, council members Jameson,
Yes.
Kiley,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That is passed 6-0. Item 30.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at South Bonson Avenue and East 11th Street from the C3 Commercial Community District to the RA1 Apartment Residential Low Density District. Petition number 2014-0513, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
The applicant for this item is Lloyd Companies, representing Lifescape, or formerly known as Achieve. On this property, there's a proposal to develop two congregate care facilities. One would be a 4-unit facility, and one would be a 6-unit facility. Again, this is on the east side of Bonson Avenue, south of 10th Street. And Achieve obviously has a long history of working with the community on these types of facilities. They've identified this area as one that would be desirable for their clientele. We do have transit service, so we have all the amenities and services that are really close by, shopping, other things that the residents would need to have. So this also is being recommended without any neighborhood comment on the zoning change.
Thanks, Mike.
Move to set the second reading for Tuesday, July 1st, 2014.
Second.
Councilor Anderson Jr., thank you for making that motion. Councilor Erickson, thank you for seconding it. No discussion? A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson,
Yes.
Kiley,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That has passed 6-0. Item 31.
First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at South Dakota Highway 42 and East 6 Mile Road from the RA1 Apartment Residential Low Density District to the RA3 Apartment Residential High Density District, petition number 2014-0514, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
Okay, we're back out to the east side again. This is a portion of Willow Run Golf Course. The applicant is Lloyd Companies, representing Tom Walsh, the owner of Willow Run. This proposed rezoning would allow the construction of a 4-story apartment complex with an attached golf course, clubhouse, and fitness center. So this is really going to be a major change for the golf course and will replace the existing clubhouse facility. The apartments will consist of approximately 142 living units. So we're talking about some pretty significant density for this area. This has also gone through Planning Commission. We did not receive any neighborhood or public comments on this.
Move to set the date for second reading to Tuesday, July 1st at 7 p.m.
Second.
Councilor Erickson has made a motion to set that date of hearing and second reading, and it was seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jamison,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That is passed 6-0. Item 32.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at South Hanson Avenue and West Bridger Street from the RA2 Apartment Residential Moderate Density and LW Live Work Districts to the RD2 Townhome Residential Suburban and the CN Conservation Districts, petition number 2014-0515, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
The applicant is Jason Benson, representing Bentwood Place Incorporated. This is about a 7-acre site, and the applicant is proposing to develop this into multifamily townhome units, which would be a maximum of 8 units per structure. Again, this is back to the southwest side of the city, north of 85th Street and east of Tallgrass Avenue. And again, the side-by-side comparison shows you the proposed zoning change as well as the emphasis. Again, whenever you see that green CN, you're talking about stormwater drainage.
Move to set the date of hearing for July 1st.
Second.
There's been a motion to set that date of hearing for July 1st. That is going to be one busy meeting. My goodness. We live in a boom town, folks. It's been a motion. It's been seconded. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jamison,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That is passed 6-0. Good problem to have, I guess, though, folks. Item 33.
First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at the northwest corner of 69th Street and South Southeastern Avenue from the C2 Commercial Neighborhood and Streetcar District to the S1 General Institutional District, petition number 2014-0516, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
The applicant is Norman Drake. This is about a 6.5-acre site, again at the northwest corner of 69th and Southeastern. The proposed development is going to be for a private indoor recreation facility of approximately 40,000 square feet. And this larger map that we're showing you now, again, kind of gives you the big picture. The previous item that we approved was over on the west side for the multifamily. And then we also have the balance of this property going forward at our next Planning Commission to consider some other zoning changes. So this is, again, another rapid growing area of our community.
Move to set the second reading for Tuesday, July 1st, 2014.
Second. Erpenbach.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson Jr., and thank you, Councilor Erpenbach. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jamison,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 6-0. Item 33.
Let's see, 34, are we on?
34.
All right. First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at the northeast corner of 69th Street and Cliff Avenue from the C2 Commercial Neighborhood and Streetcar District to the C3 Commercial Community District, including conditions as allowed in Section 160-650, subsection E, placing limitations on regulations within the RE4 form, petition number 2014-0517, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval with the following condition. One would be building of no more than 50,000 square feet of gross floor area.
The applicant for this item is Darwin Sletton, and most of you on the council are pretty familiar with this area of 69th and Cliff. We've had quite a bit of discussion about this over the years. This particular area that's being requested is about 8.4 acres. It's in the center portion of this area. And under the current zoning, there's a maximum size that's allowed. The applicant has talked to us about wanting to increase that from 25,000 allowed to 50,000. With our shaped places, the increments that we have, C2 is 25,000, C3 would allow you up to 75,000. Based on our previous discussions that we've had, as well as the neighborhood input, the applicant has agreed to put a condition, which now under shaped places we can do. And so that condition again would be the applicant is agreeing to limit the building size to 50,000 square feet within that proposed C3 zone. There's no specific building plan that we're looking at right now as far as a specific business or use. But again, the concept plan, we believe, is one that will work. And based on the history that we have with that neighborhood, we did not have any concerns expressed at the Planning Commission hearing.
Mike, thank you. Could the Planning Commission or the citizens, could you pick any number? 49,000, 39,000?
The Planning Commission could recommend any number.
Yeah.
But it would still have to be approved by a council.
Right, but they could pick any number they want.
Right.
Okay, great.
50,000 seemed like a nice number.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Councilor Urbanbach.
Just a question on that preliminary plan that we're seeing on the screen. Shows that north entrance running along that. Can you talk about that buffer just a little bit? Under shaped places now, the buffer is bigger, right?
Yeah, the buffer to the north would be, again, you have existing residential development to the north. And so the buffer yard, again, depending on what happens specifically on this area, is different than it would have been before. And we can maybe put together more of a specific description for you at second reading of what those buffer yards would be.
Well, and I think what I want people to hear is that the drawing that they're seeing right now is preliminary.
Yes, it's a concept.
But that driveway would be there because of our specifications for the
Street
intersections, right?
We want to make sure that the intersections are a certain distance from the corner of 69th and Cliff.
Right, so that's what I want people to understand is that would be the big thing, is to pay attention to the driveways, but the drawing itself is still very preliminary.
Correct.
So, thank you.
Good job.
I would move approval then.
Thank you, Councilor.
Second.
It's been a motion to set a date of hearing and second reading for Tuesday, July 1st. Councilor Bach made that motion, seconded by Councilor Jamison. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jamison?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That is passed 6-0. Item 35.
First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at the southwest corner of Grand Slam Avenue and 45th Street from the RA2 Apartment Residential Moderate Density District to the RD2 Townhome Residential Suburban District, petition number 2014-0519, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
The applicant is Clint Ackerman, who's developing this area known as Diamond Field Edition. It's located on the east side of Highway 11 and north of 49th Street. This is what we would, in the old days, call a down zoning. The current zoning would allow more multifamily residential. The applicant is requesting the new zoning under shaped places for townhome, fourplex townhome units. That's more in keeping with what he's marketing in other areas of this development. So we're changing it from multifamily to townhome zoning.
Thanks, Mike. Yes, Councilor Anderson Jr.
Mike, does Mr. Ackerman have that whole section of property? Because that's a real strange design
It is.
there.
It's all his, and so he has it mapped out.
How are we with the drainage over there? I know that there's some issues over there.
I haven't heard of any issues in this particular area. I think they're farther south, where it's still kind of undeveloped. But this area, and as you go north towards 26th Street, you have that Copper Creek addition. That's, again, we have quite a bit of stormwater improvements that have been done over the years in that area.
Okay, thank you. Move to set the second reading for Tuesday, July 1st, 2014.
Second.
Thank you. That motion has been made by Councilor Anderson Jr., seconded by Councilor Kiley. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jamison?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson? Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That has passed 6-0. Item 36.
A resolution declaring it necessary to levy and levying special front foot assessment fee for street maintenance and repair.
Hello, Mayor and City Council. Again, Mark Cotter with the Office of Public Works. This is this resolution is required whether or not we have a rate increase or not on an annual basis. We're not recommending a rate increase on the front foot assessment. It's still $1 per running front foot, and so this resolution would meet the intent of the ordinance.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mark. All right, thank you, Councilor Jamison.
Public input.
It is a resolution.
It is a resolution.
We should ask for public input first. Thank you, Councilor Erbenbach. Is there any discussion on this item from the public? Well, there has been a motion to approve it. Is there a second? There's a second. Councilor Staggers.
Yeah, Mark, how much will the city probably bring in on this assessment?
Is it still just under $5 million? It's just under $5 million.
Under $5 million. Okay, thank
Which
you.
is about a third of the budget of the street division. And so, yes, about $5 million.
Okay, thank you.
Before we vote, Mark, what are you drinking? Red Bull? How do you look really good.
I'm going to be laying down here pretty soon.
I am. I could go sleepy anytime. I don't know how you're doing it,
That's
but you still look good.
We're hanging in there.
Okay, good job.
Yeah.
Thank you for staying so late. Get some sleep tonight. A roll call vote, please. I'm sorry, Councilor Staggers.
Yeah, I was just going to say, obviously with the $5 million going to the city, that means $5 million less for the citizens of Sioux Falls. We got to remember that. It's a zero-sum game. With the city gains, we lose as citizens.
Councilor Erbenbach?
Okay.
Would you tell us how much it costs to plow the streets of snow every year?
The street maintenance budget is just over $15 million, and it's about half street maintenance, half snow removal. And so this doesn't even cover the snow removal costs of the city, let alone the pothole patching, the street sweeping, and all the other maintenance items we do. And so, yes, it does require the citizens to pay this based on their frontage feet, but it's a very good mechanism. In South Dakota, there's very few ways for cities to collect revenue to do the required maintenance. And again, this has been a good tool for a number of years. We'd ask for your support.
Councilor Staggers.
But it's also important to remember that, we do have property taxes. We also have sales tax revenue. So it's not like we don't have any money.
Okay. That's fair.
A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jamison?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That has passed 5-1. 37.
A resolution including certain contiguous territory within the corporate limits of the city of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, annexation 2013-0720, southeast corner, west 85th Street, and South Minnesota Avenue.
I'm still Mike Cooper. So the applicant for this item is Steve Van Buskirk. This is about a 55-acre site located south of East 85th Street and east of South Minnesota Avenue. This is an example where this is really on the southern edge of our existing growth area. Those growth areas are based on availability of sanitary sewer. That's the number one determining factor. Because this is on the edge, Based on preliminary engineering, we've determined that about 30 acres of land can be served with sanitary sewer. And so why are we annexing 55? Well, as we've worked with the owner, and again, our Public Works team, we don't know what the pace or even the type of development specifically is going to be on this property. It's going to be some type of commercial or office, but the scale, the pace of that development is still kind of unknown. So what we have in this annexation proposal is that we've agreed to work together to monitor the flows of this development so that we know that as we reach that capacity, then either the development would stop or there would have to be additional capacity provided. And this is an example that we've done that in other cases when it's on the very edge of our growth boundaries. So we're comfortable as city staff, planning, engineering, of recommending approval of this annexation petition by the landowner.
Any public comment? Very good, Council. Yes, Councilor Anderson Jr.
Mike, as that the proposed Walmart would be across the street, correct?
To the west, yes.
If that does go in, are we going to be able to increase the sewage rate for that area then at that point in time?
The 30 acres is being analyzed based on the west side developing as commercial.
And then, if I may, please, where you have in the dark black, are they already building in that area?
No, it's adjacent to the Sioux Sports. There's a car lot that's been approved, or auto sales. That's the part that's already annexed into the city.
Right, but then there's some building behind that. I guess you can see the lots there.
But nothing that's in the area to be annexed.
Nothing inside that, okay.
Yeah, we're just outside that.
Thank you.
I move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor Jameson's made a motion to approve this item. Councilor Anderson Jr. seconded it. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson,
Yes.
Kiley,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson, Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That is passed 6-0. Item 38.
A resolution including certain contiguous territory within the corporate limits of the city of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, annexation 2014-0122, 69th Street and Sundowner Avenue.
The applicant for this petition for annexation is Dan Lemmy. This is about a 103-acre site in the southwest corner of the city. It would be adjacent to West 69th Street and just west of Sundowner Avenue. The developer, the applicant, is proposing to look at primarily residential uses for this property, some single-family, some multifamily residential. This is in the T Area School District. We do have the capacity for water and sewer, so we really don't have the limitations for this particular parcel. And based on the staff analysis, we are recommending approval of this annexation petition.
Any public input, folks? Thank you. Council?
Move for approval.
Second.
Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to approve this item, seconded by Councilor Bach. Roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson,
Yes.
Kiley,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That is passed 6-0. Item 39.
A resolution including contiguous territory within the corporate limits of the city of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, annexation 2014-0408, 69th Street and Sycamore Avenue.
The applicant for this item is Ronning Companies. This again is East 69th and Sycamore. It's a small parcel of about 1 acre that's been acquired. It's a former farmstead, I believe, and they're just incorporating this into their existing area that's being proposed for future development. Again, at this busy southeast area at 69th and Sycamore.
My goodness. Thanks, Mike. Any public input, folks?
Move for approval, Anderson.
Second. Erpenbach.
Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to approve this item, seconded by Councilor Erpenbach. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson,
Yes.
Kiley,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That is passed 6-0. Item 40.
A resolution of the City of Sioux Falls approving the preliminary plan of Canterbury Heights North Addition, petition number 2014-0204. Planning Commission recommends approval.
The applicant is Pat Beckman, representing North Star Development. This is about a 26-acre parcel that was recently annexed by City Council action, located east of North Cactus Drive and west of North Powderhouse Road. So we're going to end the night in the northeast part of the city. I think we've covered just about every direction tonight. This is proposed for development into 17 single-family residential lots. The street layout, utility services, again, have all gone through agency review. It meets our design standards, and staff, as well as the Planning Commission, is recommending approval of this preliminary plan, which really lays out future roads, future lots, drainage ways, utilities, easements. All of that is included in what we call a preliminary subdivision plan.
Thanks, Mike. Any public input, folks? Council?
Move to approve, Erpenbach.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Buxman. Motion to approve this item is seconded by Councilor Kiley. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Jamison?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That has passed 6-0. Item 41.
A resolution designating the official newspaper for the City of Sioux Falls. And if I may, I could address that item. This will be designating our newspaper from July 2nd of 2014 through July 1st of 2015. At a minimum, we're required to designate our newspaper for no less than 12 months, although we can do it longer. We've chosen to go the 12-month route, possibly working on some legislation regarding publication. The rates have changed a bit. They were at $5.84 per column inch, and for this next 12 months, it will be $6.11 per column inch. That still is under the limitations that are set forth by South Dakota codified law. So I would request your approval of this resolution.
Thanks, Lori.
Yes.
Any public input? Council? Councilor Staggers?
Yes, Lori, can you tell us how much we spend in a year, or like
A year.
approximately?
Okay, I would really be taking a guess at this. I'm thinking we probably, boy, I would have to get that information to you. I don't have the number right now. I would just be taking a guess in the dark. Pardon me?
No, that's fine.
We don't have a choice anyways. Law requires us to do
We
it.
don't. There are no other publications that would meet the requirements set forth by state law. This year we spent quite a bit more because of election. You know, we had to publish our own newspaper twice for our different issues on the election. So our costs this year were quite a bit more. But in a normal year, they stay about the same, maybe increasing about 5% per year.
Move for approval.
Second.
Councilor Anderson Jr. has made that motion, and seconded by Councilor Jamison. Roll call vote, please.
Okay. Council members Jamison?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That is passed 6-0. Item 42.
All right, this is 42, is a motion to approve the temporary road diet pilot project for Main Avenue between 6th Street and 14th Street, where the easternmost lane of Main Avenue will be temporarily repurposed for alternative uses that include angled parking and extended furniture zones, and will be concluded by October 31st, 2014.
Welcome.
Dustin Powers, Community Development. This was a project that we presented at the informational meeting today, but I'll just go through it a little bit again. What we're looking at is a Main Avenue Road Diet Pilot Project. And this is talking about the stretch of Main between 6th Street and 14th Street. What we're proposing is that the easternmost lane of Main Avenue be repurposed into angled parking, bump outs, and some pedestrian areas and extended furniture zones. With this project, we won't be doing any construction or anything. What we'll be utilizing is pavement markings, signage, and lane delineators to mark the angled parking, as well as the bump outs and the furniture zones that we're proposing with the project. With this, because it's angled parking, that's one of the reasons we're here in front of City Council, is one, to get the blessing for the pilot project itself, but also angled parking needs to be approved by City Council before it can be implemented at the city. With this, parking will double on Main Avenue on the east side. Currently, there's about 70 spaces or so on the east side of Main Avenue, and by converting it from parallel to angled parking, we'll about double that number of parking spaces. With this, what we're looking for is the approval. If we do get approval here tonight, we'll work on the final layouts of the angled parking, the pedestrian extended furniture zones, as well as the bump outs at the intersections. And we've been working jointly with Public Works on this, and the traffic engineers, as well as Confluence is working on some of the design for us. What we're looking at doing is beginning this in mid-July, possibly sooner, depending on the way things fall. But we'd like to get this implemented soon, and then we would run it through as late as October 31st, and that's when the pilot project would end. What we would do throughout the process is kind of get some public input of what people, how they feel about the project. Did it work? Narrowing it from 3 traffic lanes to 2 lanes. Does it work for everyone? Does the angled parking benefit the area? And then if it does, we'll look at maybe future long-term implementation of a project like this. So if there's any questions, I can answer those at this time.
Thank you, Dustin. Yes, Councilor Harrison.
We listened to this in the informational meeting, and I didn't have anything to say at that time. After the meeting, I did talk to a resident here in Sioux Falls that travels this road quite frequently, and just going out to my vehicle to leave to go to dinner, the traffic on the left lane, on the east lane, was backed up all the way, and it was not moving much at all. Because the one way going eastbound, it kind of bottlenecks. All those that are trying to go left on 11th Street are all over in that left lane, the far lane, really slowing the traffic. So I like this. I think it's good. I think we should approve it and move forward. But I'm glad that it's just a temporary plan, a pilot plan, to address that, just in case the traffic is not moving and it's backed up any further. Because when I just walked out to my vehicle, it was backed up to the street, to the intersection, and there was more cars not able to pass over. So that's my concern with this, but I do like it. I like the outside plan. We just need to be careful with making sure that traffic is able to turn on that 11th Street, since it is a one-way.
Heath, any comments for Councilor Erickson?
Yeah, I think that Heath Hofteser, principal traffic engineer for Public Works. I think that, a lot of this, with this road diet being proposed as a pilot project, a lot of that is we want to see how traffic does react to it. It's if you go and watch Main Avenue during different times of the day, one of the things we look at, and we're actually going to be putting road tubes down probably tomorrow and the next couple of days, where we're going to be going out and measuring volume, or lane by lane volumes for conditions right now, and we'll be looking at lane by lane when we got the project in place with the pilot too, where we look at lane utilization and where the cars are, and that's one of the things that we do see is that the eastmost lane does get more utilized than the other lanes at certain times of the day, because a lot of people that are going south on Main Avenue want to take a left at 14th Street to go back towards the east and southeast part of the city. And that's a lot of the things that we want to see is with this project is we want to see how the traffic does handle the 2 lanes. That's a big part of it. That's why we are proposing it as a temporary in nature type of situation. So,
Councilor Buck?
I think the one question I didn't hear being answered at 4 o'clock was, how are we going to introduce drivers to this? What sort of communication plan is there for being ready to take that lane away? I mean, I agree with Councilor Erickson, there are some issues with traffic, but how are we going to help people kind of adjust to this?
I think we'll definitely have our outreach to the media, letting people know what's going on. And then, I think that
Dustin,
we talked about downtown Sioux Falls.
Yeah, what we're currently doing, actually before Monday and last Friday, we actually had outreach to the business owners and the property owners that are adjacent to Maine to get them informed of the project at first. And then after, if we get approval here tonight, what we'll be looking at doing is doing some media, press conference or something advertising this, as well as working with Downtown Sioux Falls, the organization, and talking with a lot of their members, which their members are other residents and the businesses downtown, which is a majority of the people that are downtown. But then also we've talked with the numerous employers and kind of informing them as well that have a lot of employees down here. So we will be doing a number of outreach things here within the next month before implementation takes
Thank
place.
you.
Yep.
Councilor Jameson.
Thank you. Dustin, the build out or the bump out that Parkers might do, which I think is great. I see it's elevated in your drawing here. Is that for them? Is that required for them to do, or if they wanted to do it, could they? Is there a drainage issue? Is that their responsibility, I guess? Are you okay with them doing it, or is that something that you just kind of envision? Because that curb is a problem if people are kind of walking up and down the curb.
Yeah, we've had a conversation with Public Works as well, and because we are going to be allowing them to do the a patio portion out there, there's going to be a step down from the curb. So we do want to do something, whether it be a decking or actually pour concrete over a temporary barrier so that we can bring it up later. But then at the curb, what we would do is you would put a pipe in there so that water could still go through at the curb level of that.
Okay, good.
Councilor Kiley.
And I have a few questions, again, regarding the furniture zones. It's my understanding that the cost of the furniture is the responsibility of the associated business?
For a business like Parker's, so yes, all the outdoor furniture that they'd be utilizing for a dining area for their customers would be their responsibility.
And is there a permit process for furniture zones, not only for this project, but for the other locations around
Currently
the city?
through the Community Development Office, we have a sidewalk use permit, and every year the businesses, all the businesses along Phillips or all the businesses that have outdoor seating have to come and submit a permit to us that kind of shows us the diagram of how they're going to be setting up their furniture, because we have to make sure that along the sidewalk there's a certain amount of pedestrian space to be able to, for through traffic of pedestrians. So we would, in this case, we would, if Parkers were to take this on, which they will be if we get this approved, they will come in and amend their sidewalk use permit that they have with us. And then in the future, if this were to be implemented long-term, it would just be the same process that they currently come through with us and our sidewalk use permit.
Thank you.
Yep.
Very good discussion. Council, any?
Move to approve, Erpenbach.
Second, Anderson.
Councilor Bach has made a motion to approve this item, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. Very good discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson,
Yes.
Kiley,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That is passed 6-0. Council, that is it. Any further discussion?
Move to adjourn, Erpenbach.
Second.
Councilor Buck's made a motion to adjourn this meeting, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Sioux Falls, thank you so much for your efforts. Make it a great, great night.